Welcome to all of you for joining us for the 10th anniversary of 100,000 Poets for Change, founded by Michael Rotenberg and Terry Carrion, an event being commemorated globally at about the same time everywhere at the end of September, the equinox. For us here in San Francisco, we are also commemorating the late Jack Hirschman in our poetry. And I imagine he will be being commemorated globally as he is an international star whom we have lost from our heaven. For us, we are still in mourning, and for Aggie particularly, a great tribute goes out to you, the fantastic and wonderful partner to Jack Hirschman for so long, and whom we love and whom we mourn with you. Thank you to our host, Lisbit Bailey, and co-host John Curl. Remember, everybody, to mute if you are not reading. If you have questions, please click onto the chat box of Lisbit or John Curl and type your message onto the chat. Thank you so much, and thank you for being here. I am going to open our 100,000 Poets for Change event with a tribute to the late Jack Hirschman, first poet laureate of San Francisco, first poet laureate emeritus, whom we lost last month, August 22nd, and have been deeply in mourning ever since. Jack Hirschman, poet laureate emeritus, San Francisco, prolific translator in at least 8 languages, creator of the arcane form of which he has published 6 volumes of at least 1,000 pages each, and our beloved mentor. I would like to read his poem, All That's Left. Jack Hirschman, 1933 to 2021. All that's left in the world, whether in Cuba, Venezuela, Bolivia, as well as China, Japan, the United States, Europe, the Middle East, Africa, all of them cannot, despite their resistance, despite their refusal, stop this march of death, because they, as well as all that's right in the world, despite their refusal, despite their resistance, already are counted among those in this last parade. Communists, progressives, Nazis, fascists, reactionaries, Zionists, and anarchists of every stripe, none are excluded, none can evade this march. This one's not coming with hammer and sickles or swastikas or flags of any land. This one's the march all wars surrender to. But when comes the unanimous cry? When will it really happen? If death is peace, when can I truly die? You will never know, and yet you do, because you may already have, and this life is your way of paying homage to the power that loves you enough to have taken your life away and left you with a taste of immortality on your lips. Nothing mystical, no Christ, Allah, Yahweh, Buddha in the wings. Even lying on your back, you're marching. This is not a cynical or pessimist or nihilist poem. Join death to your life, and you will live as if there were no drum to march to. There is no march at all. You're done. All will be well for all. Thank you, Jack Hirschman, to whom we dedicate this afternoon of poetry. And thank you, Aggie. We begin with Adrian Arias, a visual poet, artist, performer, curator, activist, cultural promoter with messages of social justice, racial equality, climate change, and hope. Thank you, Adrian.
Thank you. Gracias. Yeah, as you said, this is for Jack. And I try to see if I can see myself bigger. Well, I can't. It's okay. And gallery view, speaker. Speaker, hola, estoy hablando. I'm here. Yes. Well, this is a poem for Jack. Jack Hirschman is dead. I am dead. My cuerpo se retuerce en rojo. My body is folding in red. In that red that is everybody. Red that always looks like the color of blood, but no. No. Red is the color of my scarf. Red is the color of my fingers, of my eyes, of my foot, of my forbidden kisses. Red is the color of my open flesh in the universe, a galaxy, a supernova in my cells, a revolution in my words. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. And my body traveled to the beginning of time. And I became the first creature, la primera criatura, the first plant, la primera planta, the beginning of everything, the first star on the sky. Yeah, and my name is Jack, and I'm dead, and that is perfection. My name is Jack. I am Red, the Red Poet.
Karen, unmute.
There. Thank you so much, Adrian, and thank you for the red curtain at the end of your red poem for Jack.
Thank
Just
you.
beautiful, beautiful beginning. Thank you. And the next is Nahid. Are you there, Nahid? Nahid Aria? Do I see you, Nahid? Okay, we'll come back to Nahid. Then Tommi Avicolli, are you there? Tommi, yes, yay. Southern Italian poet and activist whose work has been published in anthologies, journals, newspapers, books, and his latest solo theater work, The Old Brown Jacket, which is wonderful, seen that, was performed at the Marsh and Stage Works, Stage Works, I think. So welcome, Tommi. You are still muted, Tommi. You are still muted.
Sorry, okay. I said the tea kettle went off just as you introduced me. So I had to go grab it off the stove before it exploded or something. Okay. This is called Gender Bender, and which is what back in the old days we used to call gender nonconformity, was you were a gender bender. So this was written way back. I've become what you fear the most, a big bad wolf standing outside your house of cards, the binary that binds you like constipation or a straitjacket. I'm not an enigma, I'm an oracle, only it's not deities I converse with. I'm as ancient as language, as mystic as music. You think I'm an abomination but I'm the mosquito buzzing in your ear. The dream you pretend you don't remember. The rose you won't let open. And I will leave you with a pledge of resistance, which I think is appropriate for this particular reading. Hand on heart. I pledge resistance to the flag of the divided states of America and to the oligarchy for which it stands, one empire under citizens united, with liberty and justice for some. Thank you.
Thank you, Tommi. Not an enigma, but an oracle as ancient as language. That was beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm going to call on Martin Vernon, since he's here and could possibly be already getting sleepy, coming from Clare County in Ireland. So Martin, welcome, and we're looking forward to hearing you. Oh, I have to introduce you a little bit more. Let me find my little bio. Martin Vernon is the wonderful host of a poet. Okay, he is a poet in Ennis County, Clare in Ireland. His first collection, The Birth and the Cry, was published by Revival Press in 2017. Since April 2020, he has hosted a weekly international open mic called Friday Lunchtime Poetry on Zoom. To join, it's 5 a.m. in San Francisco. He will read 2 poems, Things Are Tough at the Moment, and Journey.
Thanks very much. Hi, everyone. This is a poem that I wrote in 2010, but I think it's still very relevant. Things are tough at the moment, but I'm not walking half the day in the blazing sun with a pot on my head, for mile on weary, searing mile through scrub and desert, dignified and focused and patient, just praying that the water hole hasn't dried up again. I'm not on my knees, hands tied behind my back, bag over my head, beaten senseless with a rubber hose. I'm not selling myself in stinking back streets, behind the shacks, between the craters and the open sewer. I'm not choosing which of my children to sacrifice so the rest of us have some chance to make it. I'm not fleeing my home, desperately risking my life, crammed aboard a smuggler's sinking ship. I'm not queuing for the gas chamber. I'm not running napalmed up the road. I'm not searching through the rubble for survivors. I'm not blinded under a mushroom cloud. I'm not starving so thin that my skin has turned to paper, too weak to flick the flies from my eyes. I'm not clutching my baby to my breast, searching frantically through the smoke for cover from the bombardment. I'm not stuck in the workhouse, breaking rocks for a famine road and rocking back and forth, screaming through the night. I'm not rotting in a hidden mass grave. Yeah. Things are tough at the moment. Unemployment, negative equity, emigration, slashed budgets for hospitals and schools, forced deep cuts to skeleton services so we can pay over and over and over for fat cat bankers and big shot gamblers to laugh in our faces as they ride off into the sunset on the pig's back. But my belly is full. I have a roof over my head, water in my tap, and clothes on my back. Things are tough at the moment, but we do not suffer alone. All these things are connected here and there, then and now. We are all connected across a world that doesn't have to be this tough. Thank you. The second one's called Journey. It's kind of an imagined journey from the war in Syria to safety in Ireland. And only this week again, we were welcoming Syrian refugees to our town. I'd just like to say that this is a play on words. Obviously, I'm using the S and SH sounds all the way through it, but I see it as a piece that might be more of a dance piece with drums and a chorus. See what you think. Syria, sacred, starry skies, sweet songs shared. Islam, Shia, Sunni, Sharia, Assad, IS, ISIL, ISIS, shamed, shunned, shoved, shackled, stoned, shot, shooting, shuddering, shattered shards, shouting, shoveling, shell-shocked, shaking, sobbing, scared. Sad songs shared. Ship, seas, smugglers, sharks, storms. Shipwreck, saved, shore, sand, showers, shivering, shaking, soaking, shabby skirts, shirts, shoes, scarred skin, sores, shade, shelter, stars, sky, sad songs shared. Asylum seeking, sanctuary, safety, state, sweet, sad song shared. Silent, soothing, sleep. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. How beautiful. And I was thinking at the end with the sh and that sh is what you say to your baby when you want her to sleep. So a beautiful commentary with just words of sh and s. Very, very poignant. Thank you. And now, thank you. And I hope you sleep well in Ireland. Avocja, who has a busy day today because she has Palabra Musical as well this afternoon. I'm so honored that you have come, Avocja. She has so many accolades to her name, I can hardly begin. But she's a well-known jazz poet, jazz musician. She's started so many jazz things going in the Bay Area and is famous. So we are very honored to have Avocja here. And there you are. There's your, I'm trying to find you again now. There you are. I see you. See, I always have trouble with Zoom because the squares move around on my screen, but there you are. Avocja, thank you so much for joining us. And let's give a hearty listen to a beautiful and wonderful Avocja.
Thank you. I'm so honored to be here. And wow, awesome, everybody. And, you know, I have to apologize to Martin, who I've never met, but I've been a fanatical lover of Persian and Irish poetry and storytelling all my life. But I'm also an old musician who cannot be up at 5:30 in the morning to be with you. But my heart is there. One of these days, maybe I won't be sleeping and I'll get a chance to share it with you. I have two poems for you. This first one's called Never Alone. People always want to think it's only like one Harriet Tubman or one Nat Turner, but the reality is that everywhere that people have been enslaved or dogged out, there have been rebellions. And so this is about that. We have never been alone. Marcus Garvey, Arturo Schoenberg, David Walker, Ida B. Wells, Dessalines, and Queen Nzinga, and all those other incorruptible ancestors who showed their contempt for slavery and servitude by spitting in the face of evil, jumping overboard and freeing their souls, proud, unchained souls whose restless spirits still roam the ocean floor, stamping their presence on our dreams and minds and hands, revealing their essence and creativity all over the globe. We were never alone. Zumbia Palmares Kawaya, AKA John Horst, Harriet Tubman, and Argentina's El Negro Falucho, our beautiful, brilliant ancestors manifest themselves in life-saving rhythms, rhythmic vitamins like La Bomba, bold rhythmic magic revitalizing our lives with samba, rumba, lando, and juba. They sing to us in daydreams and dance with us on stages. Their tears become our paintings, our books, our poems, and feed our self-esteem when life tries to get in our way. We will never be alone. Ya Esantawa, Denmark, Vesey, Granny, Nanny, Alonso de Yescas, Igas Baishanga, the unstoppable freedom fighter hero of Veracruz, who reincarnated themselves in each and every one of us, said, hell no, we're here. We are free, and no matter what they say, we're here today and we're here to stay. We are the voice of the millions of ancestors whose names we never got a chance to know, ancestors who know that some of us are brave enough to know their truth, to know that we were born to tell their truth, and sworn to repaying their sacrifices every day with our actions, a sacred legacy written in blood forever inscribed in our souls, an internal tattoo, and an inescapable reminder to never let us forget to remember the price they paid for us to know that we were never alone, that we were never, never, ever alone, and we will never, 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 ever be alone. And this last one is, I'm very honored to say, if you don't have this book, Civil Liberties United, you need to have it. It's an awesome book. And I'm one of many artists, and I see several of the other people who are in that book are here today. And so this is called I Know We Can. Because I think it's crazy times like this, it's easy to get depressed and think, you know, this is it. But we've been through it all before. And I wrote this basically to save my own sanity, to remind me that we've been here before and that we can get over this. We have been here before. We have sang in the face of the Klan and danced with feet all bloody on the decks of slave ships, on the longest walk, on freedom marches and jail cells and concentration camps, oops, ghettos. They were supposed to cool our home. We know this place, the concrete jungles, the reservations, a curse of and by the uncivilized, who have forgotten the healing beauty of grass and trees and the gift of clean water to drink, and have lost their ability to love. We are familiar with the senseless mayhem of perpetual war, the addictive lust for power, the intoxication of bloodlust, and those who prefer the inhumane sacrifice of their souls as they try to steal ours. Yes, we have been here before. We know the hanging tree, the rope, the rape of our bodies, our cultures, the theft of our songs and our children. We have swam through the slime of misogyny. We have been here, we know. Racism, greed, and stupidity have no conscience, and it is only a matter of time before the insatiable self-destruct, before they devour each other. We've been through it all before, and we can get through it all again. We just have to be careful, very, very, very careful. The madness of this narcotic is contagious. We must not get drunk on the stench of this poison. We have too much work to do. We must turn this suicidal drug into fertilizer and let our tears fall down on deserts, glaciers, and jungles and run down the faces of good-hearted people everywhere. I cry and 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 I cry, and my tears come down like a waterfall, an unending waterfall for all the victims of civilization. We have been through it before, we have been here before, and together we can heal. I know we can. Please, everybody say it. Say it loud. I know we can. Say it. Come on, say it. I know we can. Thank you so much for listening to my words. I'm going to put our poetry series, La Palabra Musical, in the chat. We're a multilingual series. We've had all kinds of languages, over 20 languages, and hopefully you'll join us one of these times. Anyway, thanks you for listening to my words, and I'm going to sit here and listen to all the rest of you.
Thank you, Avocja. Never let us forget to remember. And Civil Liberties United of the great anthology. Thank you so much. And now it is a great honor for me to present Mahnaz Badihian, whom I would love to join sometime in Isfahan, where I believe she was born. Wonderful Persian poet, great translator. I mean, she is one of our most revered poets in our whole community. And yeah, is in demand as a poet from Isfahan, particularly revered as a translator from Farsi. And let us welcome Mahnaz Badihian.
Oh, thank you very much, Karen. And good to see all your familiar faces, my friends in the Revolutionary Poet Brigade. And remembering, of course, our precious Jack. I am going to read one short poem in Farsi, then the poem that I wrote for Jack Hirschman. آستانه در آستانه ایستادم، چشمم به سوی توست، قلبم هراسناک، پوستم گرسنه نوازش تو، میخواهم سفره دامنم را با تو تقسیم کنم در شب گرسنگی. And now the poem for Jack, for the Red poet Jack Hirschman. I want to tell you that this poem read by beautiful voice of Greg Pound, and I'm making a video of that voice with this poem with Greg's voice. I feel closer to the galaxy today, soaking under rain, following the lost stars, with this news waking me up all night, with wondrous arcane poems chewing my books. But can one believe that guiding voice of love leaves this earth, while his footsteps are still alive in North Beach? Which part of this galaxy he has landed now? Maybe he flew to eternity to spread love from above. Who was this man? Tall, slender, with wild mustache, with a heart as sensitive as a child and the energy of a young lion's. Now that he will not walk around city lights, Now that he will not meet us in Cafe Triste and will not send us emails, I think the end is not too far for all of us. How is it possible to see the sun go down right in the heart of summer in the city of San Francisco? That red poet will never come to my house again to eat Persian food and read Rumi with me. I will complain to Rumi. I will complain to Walt Whitman for inviting Jack to eternity, only to have the red poet next to them. But let's remember to celebrate Jack. Let's dance behind house number 858. Let's put red roses in Aggie's hair, celebrating the man we all adored. Thank you very much for listening.
Lovely, lovely. I love that poem, and I see in my mind when you say Jack's arcane poems are chewing my book. It's just such a wonderful, wonderful line. Thank you. Thank you, Mahnaz. And next we have Lisbit Bailey, an important member of our Revolutionary Poets Brigade in San Francisco, an archivist just retired from the San Francisco Maritime National Historical Park, and our Zoom host tonight. So a special welcome to Lisbit.
Thank you, Karen. I'm going to read two poems of my own writing, and one I wrote some years ago. It was one of the first poems I wrote that I was, well, in my brief poetic career here. And when I first knew Jack. And I'm not sure I'm going to read this again. I think I'm going to retire it. How to Mourn for a Poet. Cleanse your living body, don a flowing white gown with slackened seams, cock-billed hems, threads trailing untied. The unbound soul gone at the last heartbeat, free to dip and swoop throughout the cosmos, finally blinded from the self to become selfless joy. Burn away the soul's vessel, now unballasted, with salving sage to ease the passing of the age. Burn away a book of words once lovingly conveyed. Burn away the words along with the body. Burn away from this sickened earth. Contained in an urn, this is for us, the living, in sure and certain hope, in need of sage sagacity. Eyes fly at half-mast, bare feet move forward on varnished boards under a disheveled halo of hair. Arms carry a basket of bread, wine, water, ashes of poems and dead earth. What are words but a fair scrabbling at meaning from memory? What is grief but remembering? Loss flowing with each rippling gust. Remembering the remembering of memories further and further away. Ashes of words and corporeal being, now undulating in following seas, now flying on fair trailing winds, now buoyant above the horizon, now igniting the heavens.
So beautiful, Lisbit.
Thank you.
Burning
read
away. Oh, yes. You have another one?
Just a short one.
Sure.
And yeah, I'll just, it's called Love Dawn on Me. Around my shoulders, cloak of light, halo bright, hovering patiently, content at my back, sensing the ambiance, trick of sight, my shadow casts the way to go. Love, dawn on me. Thank you. For Jack.
Beautiful, Lisbit, for Jack. Love, dawn on me. I will remember that. Beyond all your words of scrabbling and burning and in the heavens, just love, dawn on me. So beautiful. Thank you. And now we have Dan Brady, who is a San Francisco poet hosting Sacred Grounds for 17, we want to count last year and this year with the Zoom and everything, 19 years. And now he's doing his open mic on Zoom, posts global open mic listings everywhere so that people can figure out how to get all around the world and Zoom into different poetry meetings. So he's a wonderful advocate for Poetry International, for the word around the world, and that is our wonderful Dan Brady.
I want to thank you so much, Karen, for doing this, and Lisbit for being the behind the scenes powerhouse there. I really appreciate that. And so many people here I know. I posted a thing in the chat. The Global Open Mic, I'm looking for people to tell me where venues are. That's how it works. So if your venue or what is that you like is not there, let me know and we take care of it. I'm going to go for an optimistic approach here. But to do that, I had to go way, way back in time, as you'll see. So here we go. I hope to finish with a couple of haiku honoring Jack, but we'll see. Here we go. There is a promise we all have and can hold to, no matter how long we have to wait for its fruition. Consider what they say about this universe. Before light or anything else, there was an overarching unknown, the deepest of cold and an absolute infinite dark immensity, the great pall, as it were. Yet here now that which came out of what was before is all there is to it. It's simple. How can there be anything more than everything? Yet isn't our hearts providing evidence moment by moment, something else, something with us, no matter where, no matter who, no matter why, no matter what or when? As for how, well, doesn't the soul tell us? The muse speak, imagination take flight, dreams may come, and whether in trailing clouds of glory or distortions refracted in tear-streaked visions, no matter joy or sorrow, we can be certain of love's tenacious claim upon everything we know. That said, there are those who suffer in their ignorance of it, who, try as they might, deny the foundation of reality, and are to be pitied for their distemper of spirit as much as for their consequent sufferance and dependence upon pride, which they hold on to as if there was nothing else. So they harbor the cold comfort of denial of their own humanity, from which they hide, and so treat others, those they see as other, just as badly. Still, even these bereft and forlorn haven't lost it. It cannot be lost. But by might and main they seek to lose themselves from it, uselessly, of course. Such as they wonder at those of us wealthy with the keeping of the promise, reveling in its resource of joy, a willingness to give what we can, while we can, whenever, wherever we can, to those in need. There's an old story, a condemned man left naked in an icy mountain during a harsh winter storm. The man survives the dire solitude because of his belief that a faint light in one window miles away is a candle lit for him. It was his if knowing that love is, always has been, is ever at hand, made the difference. It makes us what we are or are not. The evidence is self-evident. That first light was all about creation. It is still here with us even now and speaks to how we make what we make of this world. So we can never be lost, are never alone, abandoned, bereft, We always have love. All poems touch on this directly or indirectly, and this is my means to honor them or those that will be. Let us then, dear friends, hold a candle, no matter dark's apparent overwhelm or scope, no matter what. Truth is that light is, and dark is only the absence of light, and so it is nothing. And there, my friends, there is that promise, there is the proof, the fruition which was made from that very beginning and is ever a gift, our gift. A life made of living is all that matters when we create it by our hearts loving and giving. So if I can do a haiku, would that be all right? Okay, so this is, you know, people think they know, they have a lot of ideas about World War II and Nazism and that war. These two haiku, very small, are huge in terms of what they say. First, if you've never read about the Battle of Stalingrad, I hardly recommend you do that. Here we go. Investment at Stalingrad. Millions fell. Still their tolls will tell. Second haiku. This is a small invoice I saw a picture of. Here we go. The invoice. 250,000 young Russian women. Red stamp delivered. So that's what he was talking about, that kind of mindset. And that's, you know, the horror that they were. And we have idiots who hold their flags. Thank you very much. I'll let others go on now.
Thank you so much, Dan, for both sides of an equation. But I go back to your first poem where you say our hearts perform evidence of what you say later is love's tenacious claim on everything. And you tell us to light a candle. And in a sense, it's lighting a candle for all that they may trust in love. So thank you. You are a candle in our poetic society. Thank you, Dan. Christina Brown, wonderful writer, painter, poet. And as she says, she often writes about what people will or will not do for love. So we're back to love again. Thank you, Christina, for joining us.
Kristina, are you muted?
I don't see Christina here.
She was here. I wonder if she had some tech issues. So I guess.
Okay, we'll move on. I'll keep a circle around Christina. And Scott Bird, I think, will be joining us later too. So Scott, you're not there. Okay. Buford Buntin, a long-standing star of Sacred Grounds poetry. This has offered so much to all of us in Sacred Grounds. So Buford, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yay!
All right.
Wonderful.
This is called People in the World. Lucky to be there. Millions downed. Hold on a second there. There it is. By strange disease, some alive running around with masks on. Too many people in the huge world. Virus thinning the population in a cruel way. Families losing members, sadly. Okay, there's one. We're all here, fumbling around, humans confused. Even those with high IQ can't usually change anything. A few scientific geniuses have found cures for diseases. It would be nice if someone would step up now, a Jane Goodall, to help us clumsy humans evolve. Okay, I'll do one more. The placid people. The placid people sit on a streetcar, hands folded, gloves on, pondering days past. A grandchild's taking a first walk. The afternoon's grocery buying. A man moves down to an across the aisle position, rocks to his rocks to his headphones, his brown bald head bobbing. Civic center station looms next. Government and poverty, its defining legacies. Okay, thanks.
Thank you so much, Buford, for your always very poignant discussion of things that we might not have ever even thought of. So it's always a delight to hear you.
Thank you.
Bobby Coleman, I don't see here for the moment, unless I'm blind or something. Bobby? Okay, I'm gonna move on to the great John Curl, who is our co-host and really keeps us going, keeps us on our toes because of his technical and Zoom expertise. He's a poet, activist, carpenter, author of several books, including those on collectivism and ancient American poets. He is a major editor for the Revolutionary Poets Brigade and all of our anthologies. And, if you can remember, Overthrowing Capitalism, Building Socialism, and he is, I say, co-hosting tonight. So, and please check out his author's page under John Curl. So we invite John Curl to the microphone.
So I just have one poem for you today. It's called O Columbia. O Columbia, this is the temple. These endless waves of trees, this wolf birch dawn, these rivers of light bursting through crevices of cloud, this sweet fog damp womb sky, this starry flight of geese, this is the temple. This forest-drenched sunset, this symphony of clover, these antelope mesas, rain rumbling, these snow-loving islands, these 3,000-mile bouquet of grain flowers returning to seed warmth, this moon-damp redwood knowledge, this thrush melody shimmering through this golden spine, this marriage of root and earth, this revealing of ocean green valley secrets, these clustered mountaintops singing to the dawn, this holy gift of rabbit, leaf, and wind, this joyous drifting continent, this is the temple. But the money changers have seized the temple. This cancer salesman, this TV news disguise, this shattered glass betrayal, this genocide of falcons, this prison corporation factory torture, this wage slave firing squad, this starvation graft insurance noose, this money infection, this gangster orgy, this chairman of the board conspiracy, this wage cut delusional lawyer's heart attack, this stockholder death ship speed up, these neutron war secretary embalmings, this incorporated lobotomy, these broken-hearted bleeding roots, this crucifixion of robins, this burning lake, this storm of nails, the money changers have seized the temple. Oh, these self-evident truths. Oh, these alienated rights. Oh, this consciousness streaming. Oh, this vast coming together. Oh, this great casting out. Oh, this refusal to obey orders. Oh, this national strike. Oh, this army rebellion. Oh, this wilderness insurrection. Oh, these marching saints. Oh, this deep plowing. Oh, this whip of cords. Oh, this driving out of the money changers. Oh, this dissolving of the corporations. Oh, this cleansing of the temple. Oh, this tearing off of uniforms. Oh, this bomb dismantling. Oh, this fence down tearing. Oh, this prison unlocking. Oh, this mind unblinding. Oh, this hurt lover healing. Oh, this return to forest stars. Oh, this rebirth of our crystal hearts. Oh, this sunburst of worker love. Oh, this seagull marriage. Oh, this rebuilding of the temple. Oh, this collective jewel. Oh, this thought of love among us. Oh, this emerald thunder. Oh, this tongue on your perfect lips. Oh, this raven's shout. Oh, this festival of our ancestors. Oh, this ceremony of dawn family. Oh, this communal money. Oh, this collective land. Oh, these socialized machines. Oh, this economic democracy. Oh, this joyful workers' power. Oh, this rainbow cooperation. Oh, this circle of love around us. Oh, these laughing children. Oh, these joined genitals shining. Oh, this infinite sharing. Oh, this living prophecy. Oh, this dance of liberation. Oh, these hugs among the cultures. Oh, this love among the races. Oh, this harmony of light. Oh, this kiss blown from the sun to the moon. Oh, this ocean of hearts. Oh, Columbia. Thank you.
Great, 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 John. Colombia. So much is Colombia. If only we had been named Colombia instead of the United States. I don't know. Beautiful poem. Thank you. Lucille Long, award-winning author of 7 poetry collections, 4 poetry chapbooks, 2 children's books, and a memoir. She writes on birds, place, nature, and our first peoples. Her latest poetry collection is Birds of San Pacho and Other Poems of Place. So welcome, Lucille Long. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Karen. I'm going to read 2 poems. The first one is called After Catastrophe, and this one comes from my collection, Birds of San Pancho and Other Poems of Place. After catastrophe, go to sleep. You need your dreams as much as ever, maybe more. When you wake, make yourself a cup of coffee, conscientious objector, certified fair trade and organic, a blend of Guatemalan, Ethiopian, and Sumatran beans. Do not avoid the newspaper, no matter how upsetting. You need to know what's going on. Remember that the redwood tree is still alive, even though it has fungal cankers, and you must keep pruning away infected branches. So too with society, which suffers from fear and hatred, ancient diseases that must continually be cut away. Give the plants on your deck some water. The geranium, fuchsia, and impatiens are still blooming, even though it's nearly winter. Find solace in their resilience. Then take your grandchildren to a movie, The Eagle Huntress, to remind them and yourself that the earth is gorgeous, even when cold and dangerous, that societies can evolve and change, allowing a young girl in Mongolia to take on a role once filled only by men. Think about that girl with an eagle perched on her arm, and ask yourself what you can do to ensure that spring will come again with all the stars in place. And the second poem I will read is called Instructions to My Poem. And it starts with an epigraph from John Felstener. The epigraph is, "Can poetry save the earth?" Instructions to my poem. Go, little poem, remove excess carbon dioxide and methane from the atmosphere. Deactivate the chlorofluorocarbons, close the ozone hole, restore the old growth redwood forests on the coast of Northern California, and the mahogany trees and cathedral figs cleared from rainforests to make pasture land for cattle in Brazil. Stop clear cutting in the Tillamook forest in Oregon and mountaintop removal in Kentucky and West Virginia. Save the ice flows for the polar bears, hatch the blotchy olive-colored eggs of the whooping crane in Canada, help the sperm whale, gray bat, and ocelot find mates. Remove all the mercury from the oceans, get rid of every last scrap of plastic in the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Destroy all the nuclear weapons in silos in Russia, China, and America. And don't forget the ones on submarines and planes. Go, little poem. The problems breed like flies and expand like bread rising. If they totally stump you, just appear on recycled paper in a very small magazine. The world needs help, so do what you can. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful, Lucille. Thank you so much for joining us and bringing us your inspiring words. Just lovely. And I appreciate so much the fact that I associate you with the Indigenous and a remembrance of all the Indigenous all over. I just will never forget that great poem of yours. So Lucille Long Day, another great icon of our poetic society. Lucia Daramus, Romania, UK. I know that's kind of, anybody in Europe is getting sleepy, so I'm not sure that we have her here. Carol Denny, is Carol here?
She's not.
No, Carol. Oh, I hope I'm going to put a circle of all these people that I'm not sure. And Tongo Eisenmarten?
She's not here now.
Okay. Christopher George. Yes.
Yeah, I'm here.
Joining us.
And okay.
I'm gonna give you a quick intro. I hope what you're gonna read. Christopher George was born in Liverpool, England, and came to the United States in 1955. His poetry has been published worldwide, and he has a poetry site at chrisgeorge.netpublished.net.
Okay, thank you, Karen. I'm going to read a couple of poems that kind of follow on from Lucille's poem and what John Curl wrote and read. Barbaric Europe for the West Virginia mountains, and begins with an epigraph from Donovan. First there is a mountain, then there is no mountain. We Americans worship mountains, the rise and fall of them, the unruliness of them, their rushing streams, their shushing boughs, their rippling vistas, range upon range of them, marching into the distance forever and ever, swathed in mist and bathed in golden sunshine, clothed in green of spring and summer, the fire of fall, forever, O Shenandoah, how we long to see thee. And what I assume you shall assume, for every atom belonging to me, as good belongs to you. No, the coal companies say, no, as they promise us clean coal, backed by investment from China, Russia, Arabia, dirty money to buy the Uber machines and mighty dynamite to clear and decimate the mountains, as divisions of bulldozers invade each of the peaks, plough their way down to the valleys, clear-cutting forest, pushing hardwoods into the stream beds, the dynamitards blowing up tree stumps, rock walls, cliffs to reach the coal, clean coal, clean, clean coal. Promises were made that the coal companies' interests are our interests, the red, white, and blue, the meaning of our nation, everything that is true. Promises made by clean, clean coal. Promises were made that this land would be our land forever, to protect man's right to exult in the presence of wildness, to experience the serenity of quiet forests, the renewing strength of nature unimpaired. First there was a mountain. And I'll finish with this one, which reflects more what Dan Brady was reading about the fascists. Absences. Before the war, I sang in the choir. My tongue traces the gap where my back molars stood. I voiced R in exercises before the mirror, like so. I put my tongue on the roof of my mouth and sang R. Fog roils where our village stood. An old man tills the dark earth, readies the soil for beans and potatoes, explains how the bones of the dead will help them grow. Perhaps he's just a trickster, a joker, a phantom of light. Red poppies spring up in the fallow fields overnight, feeding on the blood and hair of the dead. I remember old Monsieur Dupont, how he sang bass. Oh, such a beautiful voice, a round note in a tunnel, always the spittle at the corner of his mouth, spoiling the picture. But how his bass complemented our sopranos. The brick wall where they shot him, pitted with bullet holes, red rosettes, prizes for our singing. With each tooth lost, each scar, the voice changes, the breath stolen. Fog roils now where the chapel stood. No bell tolls. Thank you.
Oh, so powerful, Christopher. No bell tolls. This was a scream first for climate justice and then for justice for humanity. So great poetry. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm not sure about a few other people if they've managed to get. Is Sarah Menifee here yet? Hey, Sarah! Yay! Sarah
Yes, I
Menifee.
am. Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful to see you. I mean, Sarah's such a busy lady. She's everywhere.
Oh, yeah, I'm sitting here.
Poet,
I'm gonna.
poet, homeless movement activist, founding member of the League of Revolutionaries for a New America, the Revolutionary Poets Brigade, and first they came for the homeless.
Okay.
She's very modest. She doesn't like introductions.
Well, they slow things down.
Her latest, oh, am I? Yeah, you can hear me. Okay. And her latest book is the brilliant book called Cement. So please join us, Sarah.
Okay, I'm going to read a poem of Jack's from quite a old book that was The Bottom Line. It was published in 1986. Sorry. You know, he's written so many blockbusters. The fourth edition of each 1,000-page long of his long poems, Arcanes, is coming out. Sadly, we won't hear the poems in his own voice. So imagine this in his voice, but this is one of the shorter, lighthearted poems that I'm very fond of. And it mentions my nickname in here, which was, he called me Bessie. So I'm gonna indulge myself and read this. And then a very short poem of my own. This is titled Dark Monday. Listening to Billie Holiday, I told the waitress she was getting better every year. On the ground in a rainy doorway downtown, the tiny brown tits of a throwaway cupcakes container. Dark Monday, dark money, way down yonder in the pockets of your jeans. Bessie spits, don't give me that good morning shit, smiling at the Monday cash register machine. Then I want to find where I have this, a very short poem I wrote, Ruach, which means, I'm sure I'm pronouncing it wrong, I believe it's Hebrew for both spirit and breath. Now I understand what this windy year did portend. Ruach, oh Jack, great soul, great song, you international. Then comes the rain and the tears. Thank you for having me. This wonderful gathering.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for this is so difficult for you, and thank you so much for joining us.
For all of
You
us.
have no idea.
Yeah.
I appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
I'm not sure about a few. I'm going to turn to Barbara Paschka now. Translator, editor, poet, member of the Revolutionary Poets Brigade, active singing with the famous San Francisco Bach Chorale under Megan Solomon. And her music, I think of Barbara, I think of poetry and music.
Well, thank you very much. For this reading, I wanted to read one of my translations that was dedicated to Jack by the poet. And this is a poem by Francis Combe from France, and it's called The Planetariat. So we all know that we need to work on the planet, but this was for Jack Hirschman. Le Planetariat. Nous qui n'avons qu'une terre à tenir dans nos mains, une terre à bercer, une terre à soigner, une seule terre pour patrie, une terre pour habiter et se tenir debout les uns avec les autres. Nous qui n'avons rien que nos mains pour vivre, que nos rêves d'amour et nos nuits étoilées, nous dont les ondes électromagnétiques parcourent le monde et la vitesse de la lumière. Nous qui nous parlons de bouche à oreille par-dessus des frontières, nous qui ne sommes rien mais dont tout dépend, et même le destin de la planète Terre, nous les nouveaux parias, nous les ombres claires, nous les en ombre, nous les plus nombreux, nous sommes le peuple monde, le peuple à venir. Nous voici, nous venons, hommes, femmes, enfants, terriens, nous sommes le planetariat. The Planetariat for Jack Hirschman. We who have only one earth to hold in our hands, one earth to nurse, one earth to care for, one single earth for our native land, one earth on which to live and stand together, one and all. We who have nothing but our hands for living, but our dreams of love and our starry nights, we from whom the electromagnetic waves traverse the world at the speed of light. We who speak to ourselves from mouth to ear, across the borders. We who are nothing, but on whom everything depends, even the destiny of the planet Earth. We, the new pariahs, we, the clear shadows, we, the unnumbered, we, the most numerous, we are the common people, the people to come. We are here, we come. Men, women, children, earthlings. We are the planetariat.
Wonderful, and a great tribute to Jack, too, to have chosen that poem. We are one, we are the planet.
Yep. Across borders.
Across borders, across everything. It's one unit, and we have to take care of all of it. Thank you so much, Barbara.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I am delighted to bring you Dr. Jean Powell, who's another very busy lady. She's a published poet and essayist with 4 books in print. She's the founder of Meridian Pressworks. Her movie reviews are all over the place. And she has taught and performed extensively, and just so pleased that you managed to make it in your busy world to 100,000 Poets for Change. So I feel very honored to introduce to you Dr. Jean Powell.
Thank you very much, Karen, and I am honored to be here. I'm checking now to see if I actually have sound. I think I do. Okay. 2 short pieces. This is called My Gift to You. It was inspired by the Moving Garden exhibit at the San Francisco Asian Art Museum. This iris, this rose, this daisy floating in hundreds on a river in France, airborne miracles, clever slip through a heartbeat in time. Blossoms I place in startled hands, creating gardens forever fresh in the soul. And I dedicate that to Jack.
That is, yes, thank you. I'm so glad. Another one.
I have one short one. The last year. The thing is, the last year is never the last year. Someone or something always interferes with your belief that eating peaches off trees and dancing in flower gardens is done. Try again, fate says, and with a spill of vibrance this time. See how your cup is half full? Recall the old friends who look you up when they are in town. And did you forget those Jackie Lawson greeting cards that pop up in your email? You walk in the shadow of sorrow, yes. Few pairings last for eternity, but memories are that much sweeter. Happiness forever is for those on the other side. Someone may have said life is easy, but don't believe that guy. He sells used cars at midnight. Enjoy winter's ice and ability to freeze pain until the warmth of spring can heal. Bless the pain when you can. It means you're alive and able to get back on roller skates tinted with oak dust and lit by tiny flames and resume circumnavigating the world. Thank you.
Oh, I love it, Jean. I love it. Enjoy the ice, enjoy the pain, circumnavigate the world. Wow. So thank you so much for joining us.
You're more than welcome. Thank you.
And next we have the great Gregory Pond, who was born in Brooklyn to Panamanian parents. He has written 4 books of poetry. He is a member of the Revolutionary Poets Brigade and the League. And he's a facilitator of Poetically Speaking, a weekly conference call program for seniors. And he is often noted on sacred grounds as the voice. So I welcome to our gathering here, Gregory Pond, the voice.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Lisbit, and good to see everybody. The After Jack Arcane, for Jack Hirschman. 1. The most we can ask during our earthly stay is that we get a chance to make an impression that will forever last in the hearts of those who bathe in the light we still cast after we exit the stage. And when we get to the end of our page, who'll be there for the final sign-off after the last poem's been written, edited, and saved? Where goes the next mentor, next dissenter, the next brave warrior who'll paint in bright red letters and write the next arcane? Jack, where now are you? Have you still got a poem or two up your sleeve that you read every night to the stars and moon? You encouraged us to write, but to whom should we now turn to ignite our revolutionary fuse? 2. Can you believe how lucky were we to be part of your global dream that envisions a world of love and peace and provides all basic needs? Though the work is far from done, we reluctantly grant you reprieve. We are sad, but in our hearts, you'll always be our rebel Jack, the cool cat, the artist activist, rabble rouser, proud communist, anti-capitalist, back scratcher, ready to shoot the shit, full of hope, cracking jokes with that special wit that doesn't exist in the souls of most folks. So hard to think we'd ever see you go before you had a chance to watch those fascists choke on their bile when they try to define the meaning of the word woke. 3. I only wish that on the day he passed, San Francisco had flown a red flag at half staff. Since no more will we be comforted to see Jack, supported by sturdy arm or his wooden staff, walking North Beach to reach the heights of city lights or to the beat and back. He navigated Columbus and Broadway, his red scarf blaring like a fire alarm, while the cars always waited for him to cross and never ever blew their horns. A poet in motion, long mane flowing, determined, defiant, in a way that only he could completely stop traffic on a dime, like Moses parting the Red Sea. Then, despite the help he'd gladly accept as he stepped down the street and up to the door of Specs, whenever he was set to enter the bar, he'd always stroll in unaided and alone, like some famous rock star, with such a lovely gait, kind of like he owned the place, or in some way, like he was safe at home. 4. We who still breathe must now stoke the fire with our own steam to light the torches of those who still dream and who will continue the fight through all the turbulent days and nights to come, when there will be no more we. So much work needs to be done, but oh, how quiet and empty the stage has become now that Jack has left the scene. Thank you.
Karen, you're muted.
Thank you, Greg. I just said, I will always, am I still muted? I'm hard, okay. I will always see in my mind the red scarf at half mast. Thank you so much for your wonderful words and your arcane of Jack. Thank you. Tungle Eisenmarten, we call on you now. He is San Francisco's 8th and current poet laureate, the author of Someone's Dead Already, Heaven is All Goodbyes, Waiting Behind Tornadoes for Food, and a curriculum in extrajudicial killing of Black people titled We Charge Genocide Again. So I am just greatly honored to have Tongo here. Tongo, excuse me. I'm so honored to have Tungle Eisenmarten here, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I had this dream planted dead in a weekday that I was laid up in the hospital, and people kept coming into my room by the dozens. And each dozen had special handshakes for each other and occasionally current dance moves. And they would kick my hospital bed from time to time to let me know that they'd be dancing from this hospital room on out to my grave. Strange cha-chas and soft shoe shuffles, disco spins like they were dancing for a white sundial, marking numbness in their feet, drum race ride. And I was ready to die because, you know, ask a musician in the tombs after court, it's the surroundings that is the uniform, but I just couldn't bring myself to visualize against God. One of them stood over me like a conductor, waving their arms over my body, directing my heart to beat fainter and fainter, directing the tubes to turn the fluids back, and I faded from consciousness with thud after thud on the legs of my bed as they danced wilder and wilder. Well, wild but meek, or artificially meek, like an artificial pastor told them to be. I was to be a projection of some kind of character to be laid at their feet. You're the only one participating in the revolution today, they mocked, and I was ready to go because, you know, there are plenty of pianos that could use a new soul, and I'm thinking, we're going to be in the revolution as long as it takes, so you can punch me out now. I was born with one foot in the lime pit anyway, but check it out. No one bothered to ask the doctor if I was really dead. Too busy strutting, too busy kissing, and I kept fading and fading with only enough breath and sweet consciousness to count their smiles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I heard a voice, a whisper, and it was counting with me. 6, we said. 7, we said. 8, then another joined us. 9, then another. 10. I haven't been eating, mama. I've been in a trance. I haven't been sleeping. I've been washing my hands off the port of Charleston. There's blood on the fog. The boss belongs to the masses now. Got the boss likeness on a string like a love poem. Wild stride speeches replace memories of the boss. We got machine guns in the communist bar tonight. We are naturals in the communist bar. Our boundaries are just a little depth. We stand outside the gates of San Francisco listening to some good preaching. Congratulations. Your mercenaries hurt. Your money jungle hurts. Your mouths hurt. Merchants of frenetic white flight, luckless and therefore well-armed primitivism, reaching down into the patterns of your soul, making for funny stories. I hope they didn't name any schools while they had those kids in those cages. Joy returns to decent revolutionaries, puts a hermitage in the fascism. Saint Fallujah thumping, your shoulder is family and needed. God crawling in between the bullet heat, yes, our grandparents' God. Thought experiments in the last words of Black organizers. Let's make a periodical of their last words, Lord. Of the remaining addresses of Black power, we become Angola on both sides, a humor of axes, a foot race through public property, remilitarized, pork improved, celestial pork, platinum minted pork, choose your words carefully, pork. The first mirror was clay, the first human was not. Humanity recommencing near the weight pile would be nice to sound universal, not heroin old, heroin passing messages, heroin left laying around an empire, a colonized intellectual as guest in their own hand. It's like a life's work depends on replicating Birmingham caravans or particulate Birmingham. 1 to 5 shells flying at the state capitol sign. Thank you for the resources. Big band scatting up the throat of a surrogate fascist in love with their one eyeball at the parade with tuxedo-colored guns, marrying the cowardice. A rerunning white politician is born in a Black neighborhood. Black neighborhood taken as a stage of history. Born of a Black messiah, taken as a folk old biography, is born Black. Legislates in some dimension fused to the side of loud steps. Copper summer riots, but still some blood involved, still some necessary slums involved. Ragtag armies massed in Western height and primary emotions. Delight of cocaine, both warped and not warped enough. Images can be cousins. What happens when you step outside the country sugar gorging? What good are you all to the world sitting in heaven? Who are we going to lay out books for? Who's going to touch the knives at night and sing to the gaps in between shadows, gaps between our love? Who's going to teach our knives to sing Tobacco Road? Teach them that they are family. Picture a black socialist in a perfected boneyard, in a tributary boneyard, whispering in cheekbones, dimming the wind. A black socialist who will live for 100 years in this graveyard to make this point, that we're in too much pain for naming ceremonies. The ancestors need to inflict on the world our continuity. 1,000 good deeds decorate the 20-year police precinct janitor, a janitor who called it, who knee slides, but not like you, telling you of a half-dead humanism to pass the time, a math teacher in their little red book. I used to dream of revolution and even enjoy the dream. Thank you.
Wow, what a voice. That is amazing. I'm so glad that you made it and got well out of the hospital. That was quite a horrible time. And then you said you were born with 1 foot in a bear pit, I think, which I thought was a wonderful expression. 1 foot in a lion pit. Wow. So anyway, thank you very much for your unique voice and great delivery. Thank you. So thank you for joining us, Tongo. It's a real honor. Next, we turn to Antoinette Velapain, who's a regular at Sacred Grounds, both live and virtual, second generation San Franciscan of Maltese heritage.
I have 2 poems today. The first one's called, I'm really honored to be a part of this, and I'm just grateful to be here, and I'll share this with you. It's called To My White Bros. We all grew up racist, systematic, sugar-coated racism. My heartfelt capitalistic slant, I have mine, go get yours, hop to it with my foot on your back. We presume white trumps black. All the while, ebony pulls the shades down, drowning out the light, refracted illusions, blasted interior worlds swirled about. Every planet's progression through time, our tiny lives as creative forces no bigger than a minute is all we ever are. Strong, beautiful, vibrant, black, rosy pink people or ensuing shades of tan, inconsequential to life, blood flows the same for everyone. Stop the unruly perpetration, tell the truth. We all grew up racist. Our founders were full of shit. Now we atone, collaborate, facilitate, give a boost, go to bat, concede to esteem every kin's skin, humans respected for merits deserved and earned. Dismantled to the bone, historical petty positions, another lie hiding systematic racism. Creating conditions whereby a segment of our populace is prevented from attaining wealth for centuries. All the while defining success, its subsequent pursuit of happiness by money's determining factor. That's plain wrong. Will we, my white brethren, choose diversity, equity, inclusion, acceptance to empowerment to keep America's promises true? I'd like that to be my contribution to poets, 100,000 Poets for Change. And then I'd like to just read one other short one. It's called Dreams Didactic. The great forgetting will soon end. The mystical name of the letter I, Vidya, Avidya, that's Sanskrit meaning spiritual knowledge and the lack thereof. My brain a foggy organ, cousin to my vagina, lubricated folds, myelin sheath, fatty insulators, protectors and repairers of nerve endings, creation's tools from human beings to entire worlds, angry naked woman, eyes wide, flailing arms, a force for good, scares away evil, dispelled and dispersed to galaxies afar, full moons appear, complete and round, lacking nothing, they simply are. Exquisitely reflected in humanity's pervasive consciousness, lift the veil, the great forgetting will soon end. The mystical name of the letter I, Vidya, Avidya. And that's it, thank you so much.
Unmute, Karen, you're muted.
I think I must have been muted. Okay, I mixed them up, the mute and the unmutes. All right, thank you so much. As I was saying to my muted self, a beautiful voice and always with a unique verse and unique message. Thank you so much, Antoinette. And I'm going to introduce now Wendy Walters, because I don't know if you're in a hurry or something, Wendy, because I keep getting worried. I was going to have you a little bit later, but this is perfect. So Wendy she always has angel wings, so we can enjoy the breath of Wendy right now. She is part of Sacred Ground. She says it's her real home, but she has a very rich spiritual life as well. So I would like to invite you now to hear the wonderful voice of Wendy Walters.
Thank you, Karen. My poem is about the children of the world. Children of the world, has it always been this way? Was there ever a time that the most vulnerable of humanity's innocents were wholly revered, cherished, and protected with every ounce of spirit and every bit of sound, enlightened laws? A world that works for all who could only be a world that does not abandon the plight of its children. Considering where things are today, even with the progress that has been made in our evolution regarding how we view and treat children, we are a far cry from where we ought to be. What other species has created and left for its progeny a world that impacts its own children and will impact those born in future generations, with such a host of multi-layered problems to face and resolve? A long and arduous road lies ahead to address and end the astonishing lingering presence across the globe of abuse and neglect. Some of the transgressions of humanity's legacy with its children are globally devastating on a scale of disastrous urgency. The arrival of climate change couldn't be more threatening to the welfare of children of all ages. But there are countless other examples of its much to be desired legacy besides this. Children of the world, you were not supposed to grow up hungry all the time or be nourished so insufficiently to affect your health or life expectancy. You were not supposed to be exposed to violence in your communities or your family, or be sacrificed by reckless humans as collateral damage in acts of war. You were not supposed to be prevented from going to school so that you could have a chance at a better life. You were not supposed to be forced to work long hours under dangerous conditions. You were not supposed to be subjected to the negative effects of gentrification, robbing your families of their livelihoods and the services generated to benefit you. You were not supposed to be laughed at, ridiculed, humiliated, or mistreated because of being different looking or sounding, or because of being differently abled. You were not supposed to be exposed to hate, bigotry, and racism toward others who are different from you in any way in your precious formative years. You were not supposed to be treated like property, existing only for the selfish motives of adults, or expected to understand or cope with things beyond your comprehension. Children of the world, you were not supposed to be given lesser rights or deprived of any of your inherent rights as human beings, while living in an insensitive world where you couldn't advocate for yourselves.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Wendy. An ode to the children of the world. Thank you. I've been asked to introduce a poet who cannot be here for health reasons. Her name is Sally Love Saunders. She very much beloved of Sacred Grounds, always brings us cake on her birthday. And she calls herself a Johnny Appleseed poet, believing everyone is a poet. She's widely published, has over 375 anthologies, she's in, newspapers and magazines, and 6 books of poetry. So I'm going to read a couple of tiny poems by Sally. Feeling like a fish. Feeling like a fish in a fishbowl upon waking. No punctuation of what day it is. Time doesn't matter. It blurs into the long expanse of days and months. I'd swim around in the fishbowl of my apartment. No map, no calendar, just swimming around upon waking, feeling like a fish in a fishbowl. And her other poem is called Finally After a Month. Finally, after a month, I'm accepting a little. I'm in a pandemic. It took me a month to adjust to this totally different life. A life of seclusion, a life of fear, sadness, frustration. I miss the world. I miss seeing children. I miss seeing dogs. Miss exploring. I miss being free. So those are the offerings from a very beloved poet of our community, Sally Love Saunders. Thank you. And I have seen that the lovely poet Nadia Aria has arrived. And so Nadia, I hope you're still here. I saw you coming in. Okay.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, there you are. The squares jump around and I'm thinking, there she's over, nope, she's over there. Nadia Aria holds the position of Public Relations Chair of Cultural Diversity at the Office of Alameda County District Attorney since 1997. She has served on the permanent mission of Afghanistan to the United Nations in New York. And she's a board member of the United Nations Association of San Francisco. So we look forward to your poetry, Nahid. And yeah, just look forward very much to hearing you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Karen, for giving us the opportunity to bring you understand the situation in my country, Afghanistan. It is so dark. It is so sad. It is hard for me to read or do thinking about what is going on, because 41 years ago when I come, it was the same situation. That time, people was buried alive. And I have a painting behind me. The painting is about that, the name is Silence Voice, when the 10 of thousands people buried alive in order the government to save bullets. And the name of that painting is Silence Voice. I make that art. I'm not a professional artist, but I bring, the voice, the message through the painting. So many Afghan people were buried alive by bulldozers. That was like an earthquake as their victim tried to claw their way out. This pen and chalk drawing was inspired by an event known as the Carla Message. In April of 1979, socialist government forces in Afghanistan launched house to house search in Carla village and summoned thousands to public meeting on open ground near the bridge linking to Carla. The forces had been sent to town in response to several local uprisings against the new government. That government was the communist government. At the public gathering, troops surrounded the villagers and fired upon them indiscriminately. As thousands lay dead or wounded, the troops then used bulldozers to dig a large trench. According to witnesses, the bulldozers pushed the dead and wounded, many still alive, into the trench and buried them alive, silencing them forever. As I thought about this, I had the vision of many hands under the ground. Their hands would reach for help, struggling to climb out and out. I actually envisioned the movement of the ground from all these hands. The ground moved like a waves. It was these thoughts that inspired my drawing. When my drawing was completed, I saw that it was about more than the Carla massacre. Ants reaching out is a symbolic of all victims, child victims, any victims, elder victims. They reach for assistance, for justice. The hands in my drawing do not have bodies attached to them. We cannot tell their races or sexes or religion or politics. We only see hands reaching out to us. It is up to each of us to decide. We will reach back. Will we take those hands in our own and help pull them out to safety, to justice? Will you do with your hands what you do with your hands?
Thank you so much, Nahid. And I know what pain you're in because of Afghanistan and the whole history you've experienced. The bodies buried alive to save bullets. What a line. That is horrendous.
Because each body needs 5 bullets in order to die. For 10,000, 50,000, the government want to save bullets. They bury them alive. It is one group was 10,000. They did 100 groups. They did by that, you know.
Nahid, can we see the picture of the hands? If you move it just aside a little bit so we can see that. That's her painting of hands that are reaching out for you. And she asks, will we reach back? Very, very beautiful, Nahid. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you for sharing your grief. And I'm sure we feel with you as well as we can, the horror of what's gone on in Afghanistan. So now David Leo Seurat is also, if he's in Paris, you know, he would be Europe, and I would say, but he's sort of in New Brunswick and Paris, and he's been our wonderful moderator for our Tuesday Spoken World readings, and I am extraordinarily honored to bring the author of Butter the Cat and Humble Doves. He's created these marvelous figures. He should be a cartoonist too, because of his amazing humor and sense of animation and imagination. So I could say all sorts of things about publications and so forth, but I'm just going to invite you to enjoy the poetry of David Leo Seurat.
Thank you so much, Karen. My battery's at 1%, but my heart is at 100%. I'm going to share my screen for a philosophical love poem that features imaginary borders in our world. Hang on. This never works for me. There we are. Okay. Impromptu constellations. Beloved blue, seeker, mirror, sister, river, Madhava here, your open secret admirer, fellow monk-like lover of all, your humble student and sometime teacher, your waking and dreaming dance partner across the St. John River, wordless Wolasto, which sketches an imagined border between Canada and States with her fresh, ancient ink. She carries a light green iron crown, cross-hatched beams and weathered sky, bridge that bonds both sides of one persistent river. She is a young deity, content to wear her cracked ice coat, dressed in late December black and white, as if the tallest birch on earth had laid its whole length down. These twin towns are practical dreamers, as you are, solitude's daughter. Your wise, wide, mystic twilight eyes witness what unfolds in the circle of now, where all clocks lost their hands. In this world of surfaces, I am your worker bee, and you are queen at Cafe Lotus Bleu, hive of like-minded seekers, the warm heart of Edmundston, New Brunswick, Canada. We gather inside your large-heartedness that keeps its beat on the pulse of life. Here, characters lean on, learn from, and teach each other, evolving always as conversations revolve over global cups full of coffee and tea that sketch impromptu constellations all around your enlivened cafe. As my other father, teacher's teacher, forever says, this world is nothing but a school of love. Cher Bleu, this dusky afternoon unfolds fresh linen snowfall, all three cafe doors locked. We are two sleepy bees closed in your Cafe Lotus Bleu to share one honeyed solitude. Your coffee-stained tan canvas shoes grip the ground without ground addiction that feeds us the false belief I am real because I have to be here and work. We both embrace the inner work, shoveling out the muck, as Yeats wrote, to create space inside for sunrise, taste delicious bliss as we learn the language of silent light. Inside this theater set, kaleidoscopic electric cafe, we improvise our lines. Some ring out long and longer words of infinite resonance, messages from God's house, which I call, half jokingly, the home office. We fuel and accelerate one another's path. Within the grip of our ribs, thoughtful snowfall of letters and numbers, powerful characters that populate the stage of creative minds. We write our own play from inside its lines. We are what we think. All that we are arises from our thoughts. With our thoughts, we make the world. First truth in Buddha's Dhammapada, the field of sacred duty. Outdoors, routine parades of shadows float past to a soundtrack of Eric Satie's Troisième Nopidi, the piece you broadcast in your cafe the first day I sat with you, a bilingual interview. Its slow, sad, solo piano notes cast a contemplative dance ambiance. Earlier, I heard you nearby remind everyone. In 100 years, none of us will be here. We wash our hologram hands side by side at end of day, die into the ink of dusk, and switch off lobby lights, the stage set anew for tomorrow's show. After hours in the cafe you call your front shop, wooden frame supposedly set in Eastern Canada, just a short bridge away from Maine, that holds us as we paint our inner evolution out indoors. With a single flourish of your fingers, you quietly unveil our powerful snowstorm dream. What is this world? It's just powder.
Thank you. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
We write the play inside the lines, something like that.
We improvise
It was more beautifully expressed. My brain didn't quite wrap itself around that, but you were expressing that same idea throughout the poem, that we are writing things as we exist. We are writing things within the poem, within the book, I mean, it's just I love all of it. It's very beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank-
joining us and giving us another slant on life.
Yay.
Next are two wonderful poets. And I just want to make sure I have all the info that they aren't falling around. Yes. That will be Nina Serrano and Kim Shak. Kim Shak, our wonderful poet laureate of last year, and I think the year before, she was our pandemic poet, our pandemic laureate, as well as before. So she has, we have been very much honored to have Kim around. And Nina Serrano, I'm going to call on right now, San Francisco Bay Area poet, producer of poetry radio programs on KPFA FM and OzCat Radio FM, produces a multimedia series, Literary Dialogues with Nina Serrano. Just a wonderful soul. She's someone it's very easy to love. So Nina, we welcome you to the podium.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to be among 100,000 poets for change. I hope we really are. I hope there are 100,000 of us all demanding change. It's the only way we're going to see it. And I'm very happy to be honoring Jack Hirschman. This poem is called The Afghanistan War. It seems it's not as easy to end a war as to start one. Along the way, you have to mourn the dead, wounded, destroyed homes and ecological disaster, endure the sorrows, pain, and losses. After all the devastation, the end does not definitively close
This is the
like
top
a
result.
book or the final credits of a movie. The suffering and terror continues. Let's have no more wars. Let's have no more wars. This next poem is called Sisters of Afghanistan. I'm glad Nahid
Here's
is
a
here.
result from the web.
Excuse me a minute, I have to shut my phone off. It keeps talking. Sorry. Sisters of Afghanistan. We hold our breath for our sisters in Afghanistan and hold them in our hearts. At this confusing moment, when those who hold their subjugation as religious law hold the guns, may their woman courage carry them through. May their woman courage carry them through. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nina. May their woman courage carry them through. What a line. And we have heard so much about Afghanistan today and know how much courage is demanded of, particularly then, of the women and the children. So thank you again.
Thank you, Nina. Thank you so much. How I can get a copy of that poem?
I'll send it to Karen to have her forward it to you. It
And
was
I'll-
really
yes, I want to
very
meet you.
moving to be able to read that poem with your image in front of me and learn the story of the hands.
Yeah.
Yes.
That
And
was
I have,
very
you know,
moving.
Yeah, I have another painting about the justice for Afghan women. Let's end silence. The name of this, Let's end silence. This is about justice for Afghan women. This is my, latest, painting about. Thank you so much.
Beautiful, Nahid. Thank
Yes.
you. And thank you,
What
Nina.
does that say on it? What does that say on the poster?
Okay, let's end the silence.
Let's end the silence. Is that it?
Yes,
Let's
yes.
end the silence. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
It's
you, both of you.
beautiful.
Thank you for this, the voice of Afghanistan, which you're hearing today among the poets. And thank you especially, Nina, for a beautiful poetry. Kim Shak, the 7th San Francisco Poet Laureate Emerita. She has 8 solo books. The latest is Exile Heart from That Painted Horse Press. They have that book at Bird and Beckett. And Kim says she gets into good poetry trouble whenever possible. So with that, we invite Kim to give us her beautiful words. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, Karen. I have 2 very short poems. There is an empty part that echoes cold. I wrap garlands of your words twined with prayers we both learned early, a hand clasp, a belonging, the habit of pulling the stuff of words like sacred herbs. Words that taste like apricots, apples, salt, songs from those other mountains. One I find myself singing this morning. Today I may bake the bread of childhood, light the candles of my grandmothers. Today and in other times I will wear the red thread of your words at my wrist. And this one's called Transformed. How many times have we woven and rewoven the cocoon, made ourselves different, split the careful constructions, come loose, shaken free, transformed by our own art? How many times will we find the light instructions, recipes for a word for survival that we've never shaped before? We will wear the agates, their inscriptions cracked from wildfire, prayer fire, and who are we to decide where the altars are placed? We will walk into the next moment shimmering with sacred water, which we know is all water. We'll wash the dead, shake ourselves, start the weaving again, call the words to the chosen stairwells, because we are the people of stairwells, of mass transit, of the echoes underground. We're the characters of myth, and even in the deep weaving, you must never doubt it. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so yeah. Oh yeah, I'm not muted. Thank you. I should have been muted. Thank you so much. Just beautiful as usual, and we're very honored to have you here. And I'm thinking that I have a number of poets still, but I want to make sure that some of you have been here from the beginning, like Alice Rogoff. I'd like to introduce you next. Alice Rogoff's poetry books, Mural, Bargewood, Painting the Cat's Vision, include poems on the social issues of the day. Mural won a Blue Light Book Award after Jack Hirschman advised her to put her political poems together. She is the co-editor of the Haight-Ashbury Literary Journal on the Social and Economic Justice Film Festival Committee and volunteers for the San Francisco Living Wage Coalition. So please let us welcome Alice Rogoff.
Thank you for having me here. What I'm going to read first is from a Poets 11 anthology that Jack Hirschman put together. He put together them for several years, and they were wonderful. This poem is called This Quilt. I have been working on this quilt for 100 years with rags from the streets of New York and feathers from the turkey farms of Russian immigrants. The quilt talks to me at night. It says this little piece of fabric is from a small girl who carried garments on her head, who picked up the scraps on the floor. The feathers are from a child who swept out a barn. At 100, I look back at the beginning of the century. Some of these remnants have been charred in the Triangle Fire, in mines explosions. These are dusty from the Dust Bowl. This piece wet from tears from the mother of a draftee who did not return. This quilt was carried high over my head in a demonstration for peace. This quilt covers me when I am tired and cold, when I am hungry. This quilt is a skirt to wrap around the blood of little steel gunshot wounds. This quilt is 100 years of history. It is the early morning light, the darkness of the middle of the night. It is the sound of the steps of a May Day parade, the sounds of the shots on the docks. It is the quiet of 1934 longshoremen killed and marching in silence. We have been making this quilt for 100 years. And this next poem is called Solidarity. It is about a former strike. The docks on the Pacific could be quiet as seashells today, as work stops for the striking dock workers in Liverpool. The docks could also reverberate like blown conches across the ocean, rings inside the shells, making one circle spiraling into one vortex, and a rusty crane slices through the sky, and the birds migrate from one port to another. No one's been talking about Liverpool much. The newspaper owners don't tell you anything much. Closing down the West Coast piers will say a great deal. And this is a short poem, Freedom Summer. He went to register African Americans to vote. He was killed that summer, hidden for years. Nazis now talk about freedom to carry guns. Little sister still has a Freedom Now banner in her closet.
Thank you so much. Always different perspectives. I love hearing your work. And I'm going to introduce to you now a wonderful global poet with a wonderful name, Mr. Rorschach, international poet of renown on Zoom in Paris and elsewhere globally. He's a San Francisco poet who found a silver lining to pandemic times in the international online poetry renaissance or renaissance. He is the longtime publisher of Rorschach Page, a literary street flyer, and is currently editor-in-chief of Review Evolution Poetry magazine. So please welcome Rorschach.
I just wanted to say that the first time I heard Jack Hirschman read was in 1980, and ever since then he has been an example to me of how to do poetry, and I miss him being around. I have one poem for you today. We are the pomegranate. Now has come autumn, the harvest mostly in, the last radishes dug from the ground, the last green tomatoes wrapped in paper and stored in the pantry. On the south side of the house, the pomegranate tree droops beneath the weight of fruit. I watched them grow all through the solitary summer. Small green bulbs to large red balls out of the unexpected blue. Cosmic transmissions on the social web from many dozens of supportive poets dispersed around the planet, but all caught in this same damn year. I am contacted by Paul Jolly, one of the first poets I knew when we were students at Maybeck High School in Bruce Henderson's poetry class. Paul back at last in old Berkeley after decades working the halls and lobbies in Washington, D.C., and all that time away from poetry, but now returned with all his great sincerity. In pleasing synchronicity, I had just been thinking of Paul, and that time he approached me in Trinity Hall, held forth two halves of a pomegranate, the myriad bright red seeds gleaming, glistening under the high ceiling lights. We are the pomegranate, he said laughing, and I laughed. We are the pomegranate became a metaphor, a catchphrase, and the title of a poem. The pomegranates are harvested before they bend the tree to breaking. 2 huge baskets. These will be good until February, when 2020 has been endured and the lucky have survived. 2020, still a few weeks to go. Fingers crossed, all nervous. Spells and incantations. Breathe right, relieve stress, and whatever boosts immunity. A nervously dry November, waiting for California rains to douse the parched land, knock down the wildfires for a while. The United States held the highest turnout election for president ever, and Joe Biden won. But Donald Trump claimed fraud, disputed the factual basis of reality, and his fans backed his claims on no other authority and absent any objective evidence, which was perhaps the weirdest behavior of all in utterly weird 2020. Meanwhile, the COVID pandemic sickened and killed many thousands of people around the world, while Doomkoffs gathered and marched from Berlin to Washington to Sturgis, South Dakota. Hell no, we will not wear masks. More reasons why I am staying in until this year is safely passed. But we are the pomegranate, all of us, regardless of our vision, be it cloudy or clear. If we are striking out because we are so injured, so emotionally hurt, so fearful that we hit and hurt, or if we are forgiving and loving ourselves, then we can reach out and love to all the brilliant seeds, all the love radiating from souls. We can help and heal all together now. Love is all we need. And the pomegranates growing again next year and every year. Let the seasons roll around. We are the pomegranate.
Thank you, Rorschach.
A closing note, the pomegranate tree is heavy and the fruit is ripening again this season. So, thank
The
you.
pomegranate. So we must remember to always look for the pomegranate. What a lovely metaphor. Thank
Couldn't
you.
hurt.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. No, thank you. I would like to remember Richard Sanderell, another wonderful poet in our community whom we lost this year, just last spring. And he was such a generous poet. So, and he always spoke before he read, he spoke of the Ohlone and reminded us that we do not live on our own land. And reminded we actually never live on anybody's land, but he will say, we are here on Ohlone land. And I'm going to read just a few words from his poem called Release. It was a poem of the day in July 2020, I think, anyway, or maybe earlier than that. Well, he wrote it in 2020, so. The wheel turns, rotation diminishes as fear grabs hold, streets vacant dotted by two-legged, great unease in world as well, Empire USA finds herself filled with dread, panic, grabbing some to the very core of madness. I've practiced social distancing most of my life, with exceptions if I felt there might be a human being before me. More fear in the land of the brave, where bravery left before it would be disappointed. Things are happening, just depends what conspiracies evolve. Some never shattered, battered, others recognize these times. Just a continual, after all of USA's, excuse me, as we always would say USA, after all of USA's killing people for what the other has, where fear, anger, sadness reigns daily. Fears finally landed USA, Now we'll find what the rich really have as if we didn't know. We know who'll be in front lines of hurt when finding themselves there. Will there be help? The beats goes on as mother turns rounding the sun. Moon shines down where smells of fears rise. Instead of the joy of life, all should feel. Separate the drums as they play together African indigenous heartbeats, not letting them forget their humanity. Dance with the Tunisian French women in the streets, singing like Anima Anibal, remind us of what life should be instead of what corporate minds mind. Beats so people here release, beast slain, as beats releases our own hypocrisies. Breathe, release. And I want to thank all of you for being here. I haven't said my poem yet, so I will say a poem for Jack after I have said thank you to all of you. Thank you especially to Lisbit and to John for hosting, co-hosting and co-hosting this. Thank you all of you for coming. Thank you, Martin, for staying through, although it's gotten very late in Europe. And there are a few of you that I just hope is there that I haven't missed you. I know Scott Bird had a problem and thought that he would get here. Is there anybody that I've missed who made it and I didn't see them come in? Okay, we're all right. Okay, then I am going to just thank you all for coming, reminding you this was the 10th anniversary of the 100,000 Poets for Change, and we pray for change. But I will read one poem before I say goodbye to everybody with my deepest gratitude that you came today. Departure of a Great Spirit for Jack Hirschman. As a great spirit departs, a fissure opens in the spirit of earth, between the great divides of never and ever, between touch and loss, form and soul, being and beyond. A fissure opens past time, the fissure of the great river flowing always as our lives pass by, closed between walls of a tall canyon, dwelling in both shadow and light, pursued by cascades, flowing into yawning caverns, a crack in the universe. Open for a moment to embrace one great lamenting soul, filled for just one moment with all the pain and joy of the world, carrying that burden like a newly born infant into the fissure of eternity. So thank you, all of you, for your great words, for your great work, for your great lives. Blessings to everyone, and just thank you.
Thank you, Karen, Lisbit.
Thank you, Wendy.
Making this possible.
Thank you, everyone. And thank you for the 100,000 poets on earth, and may there be more.
May we make change.
And
Yes.
may we make change. Thank you, Nina. Yes. May
And
we inspire change, push for change, not stop fighting for change.
Yeah.
Thank you, all of you, and all of you who, for one reason or another, couldn't make it because it's a strange world out there, but we're thinking of everybody. Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you, Jack, for being with us for so long.